Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Appreciate everybody being here, guys. Welcome. You guys are awesome. You're here like every Tuesday. I love you guys. You guys are amazing. Thanks for being here, and especially BC, because like this guy, if you've been watching him first thing in the morning on Piper Academy, you know he ain't been feeling good for a few days. So thanks for being here.
Oh, I'm glad to be here. I know you could probably hear it in the voice. It's still not 100, but I'm definitely doing my part.
You sound a lot better than you did 11 and a half hours ago.
Oh yeah. That's the only reason I'm here. Otherwise, I would have been like, I'm sorry, I can't do it.
And I would have understood. We would have understood. It's kind of funny. Like I was mentioning to him behind the scenes before we got started. I said, "Man, I listened to your show this morning, and I'm like, there's no way he's showing up." But he proved me wrong. Here he is. He's here. So I appreciate that very much. Hey, listen, if you're just tuning in and you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, tick the bell icon, click the all. That way you get notified every time we're live. We're also simulcasting on Bedell's channel tonight. So if you're new there, links to everybody's stuff is in the description. So make sure you go ahead and click on that. Follow everybody, no matter what channel it is that you're watching on, and or if you're watching on X for that matter. And let's see. Let's go take a look, see who's in the chat as we speak. We had a lot of people here early this tonight, like Crypto Princess has been here. I think she since had to take off, but appreciate the fact that she even stopped by, smashed that like button. There you go. See, have a good stream. Perfect. Let's see, who else am I missing here? Anybody? Sin is in the house. Appreciate you being here. And we got to stop and say hey to Miss Crypto Bedell. Listen, she was on Monday live with me and Joe when we did our Crypto Market Monday, and it was great having her in there. So thank you, Miss Crypto Bedell. Appreciate you. All right, everybody. Listen, tonight we're going to talk about Bitcoin primarily across the board, which is why I'm glad that BC made it here tonight, because, you know, it's a bit of a maxi. I'm just saying, we'll throw it out there. I don't mean that in a pejorative way there. We love BC. So here's the thing. There's been a lot of positive news overall with Bitcoin, right? I mean, it seems like it's just positive after positive after positive, even though that positive isn't translating into price action at this point. Which is kind of crazy. Do you guys want to toss out any thoughts about that before we kick it off? Because the first piece of positive news we're going to look at was a short video about 2 minutes long that Pump put out yesterday, kind of breaking this all down. But I want to get you guys to jump on in here and put in 2 cents if you want to do so. BC, don't kill yourself. I know, again, save the voice for later when we want to scream at Kevin O'Leary if you want.
Well, all I was going to say is, yeah, there's been a lot of positive news for crypto and Bitcoin specifically, with the new administration, but it's going to be very, very hard for any Bitcoin specific news or crypto specific news to really make that specific market bullish when the overall trend for all markets right now is kind of to the downside.
Definitely down. Yep.
You're not going to get Bitcoin to pump massively when your overall markets in general are to the downside, not just in America, but like across the world. All markets are down.
Facts. Bedell, want to throw anything else in there?
I haven't had a chance to watch any of these videos, so I'm just, flying what they're.
Well, that's okay. It'll be a real reaction as you're watching it. That's sometimes the best thing. Listen, I mean, Bitcoin is barely teetering at around 81K. Last I looked, I probably should have brought a chart up and had it ready, but it was about 81K. I actually DCA'd a little bit today, and yeah, I mean, why not, right? At that price, you got to do it. So, but anyway,
your show with Joe yesterday. And he was mentioning somewhere around like 73.
Yeah, he actually, yes, and he did a members only video, and he kind of revised that down even to 71. So I mean, if it took the bearish trade there, the bearish downtrend, and I think it's gonna, because from when he made those videos, we're down. So I'm thinking, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm hoping I got enough to DCA a little bit more when it hits that 71. But anyway,
I told everyone a few weeks ago that I was like, hey, and just so y'all know, just for complete transparency, I have a limit order set at 71,800.
there
There's
you
a lot
go.
of liquidity in that zone. So yeah, I set
There
a
you
limit
go.
order there. If it gets hit, it gets hit. But like I was looking at that same level too. So
Yeah, that's probably what I should have done. I should have set a limit order. That's a good idea.
mm,
Maybe I'll do that later. But first things first, let's kick this thing off and let's give Pump a listen here. I may or may not stop it. We'll see how it goes. Or if you guys need me to stop it, just let me know, and we can comment in between, obviously, as we're going along. So here we go. Let's bring up Pump.
Now, Bitcoin has defied the odds over the last 15 years. It went from a small, teeny little unknown project to the largest computer network in the world, and it's now valued at more than $1.5 trillion, even though no one person controls it. This type of asymmetric success will always leave a trail of critics' tears in its wake, and that's exactly what Bitcoin has been doing. One of the loudest critics over the years has been famed angel investor and podcaster Jason Calacanis. Now, while his wife bought Bitcoin early on and she knew not to sell it, Jason has been publicly critical of the digital currency at various points in Bitcoin's rise. The most recent comments came in an X post that reads, Bitcoin has been a wonderful game, but with a couple giant players cornering the market, the timing is right to build a better Bitcoin, restarting the game. Folks cornering the market will say this is foolish while they donate to Trump to encourage more buying. But all technology gets replaced over time, and Bitcoin will be no different. Now, here's the thing. I like Jason a lot, and you can't deny his absolutely stellar startup investing track record. He's one of the best to ever do it. But there are a number of things wrong with his bold statement about Bitcoin. First, all technology does not get replaced over time. There's plenty of disruption that happens in this industry, but the internet is not going away. There will be no better internet. Neither are mobile phones, electricity, or Bitcoin. Second, contrary to Jason's claim, no one has cornered the Bitcoin market. The largest holders of Bitcoin only own a single-digit percentage of coins. On top of that, you can see on the blockchain that whales, those with really large amounts of Bitcoin, they've been dispersing their coins, and that is decentralizing ownership into smaller holder hands over time. Now, third, people spent nearly...
I'm pausing it for 1 second because okay, he went through 2 points, and I probably should have stopped it after the first point. But I don't know that I agree with his critique of the technology doesn't change kind of thing. Of course it does. I mean, come on, when we're not still using the printing press, you know what I'm saying? Technology changes. And I get it. Maybe looking at it from like a specific like he references the internet, that kind of thing. Okay, but that I gotta believe we'll probably be dead by then. But I gotta believe that that's going to change. I mean, what do you guys think? Am I just looking at it from old man glasses here, or what?
No, I mean, I feel that things do change, but only to a certain extent. Like, the internet's been around since it was invented, but I mean, we went from 56K through the phone line to now Starlink, where you can get internet pretty much anywhere and everywhere in the world, and at a lot faster speeds.
He would argue that, okay, but the base is still the
The internet's still there, technically, but it has advanced a lot.
I agree.
And his whole thing about Bitcoin being replaced, maybe, but I feel it's not a project that's around right now.
I don't disagree with you there.
Maybe another 20 to 40 years it might be replaced, but I mean, that's the same thing with currency. Currency has changed every 100 years?
Somewhat. It depends on like the scale of your empire and how much you can keep it afloat. But like for Bitcoin, it's like, what is your purpose in the crypto space? So if your purpose is no longer that peer-to-peer and you are the reserve, then like I don't think Bitcoin goes anywhere for quite a while. Countries still use gold as reserves. Gold's
Yep,
not going anywhere. So
that's
like
true.
as long as crypto is around, Bitcoin's going to be around because it is that reserve and it's proven itself. And his whole statement, oh well, there, how he was saying there's going to be a new Bitcoin. There already is new Bitcoins, and they don't do anything against Bitcoin. So like, it, it's not a
I
competition on that. The competition is in the crypto space is what is your next use case? Because we've already been the use case for what holds up its value has already been proven, and that's Bitcoin.
Yep. And to me, that's part of the evolution that he's kind of like saying about in this first point. I don't know. My again, somewhat humble, maybe not opinion. All right. How about we let him get to his third point? And before we do that, LBC in the house. Appreciate you being here. Thank you very much. And all right, let's let Pomp take point number 3 here. We're about halfway through his video.
40 years conducting research and development to create Bitcoin. This wasn't the first attempt. They were trying to create a digital currency that solved the double spend problem. There was attempt after attempt after attempt, and they were all unsuccessful. This technology breakthrough came because of the way proof of work blockchains batch transactions. So let's get something clear. There's not going to be a better Bitcoin. Jason knows that, and so should you. And there's not going to be a new Bitcoin. Bitcoin is Bitcoin. It is the breakthrough. It is the one that has won. Currencies are as much about the technology as they are about the story or the belief system. Bitcoin benefited from the immaculate conception when it launched, when no one was paying attention. There's too much hype and attention today for a new coin to be built and achieve true decentralization. Bitcoin was an idea's time who came. Satoshi Nakamoto beautifully designed the system and gave a gift to the world by walking away. The critics may not like it, but Bitcoin is the single best digital sound money ever created. I wouldn't hold my breath waiting for a new one to be invented.
Okay, so there's this point. Now, listen, I'll agree with that last piece to the degree of, and I forgot which one of you said it. You ain't getting another Bitcoin today with today's tech. You know, I agree. That's not happening. But to say never, I don't know. I try to stay away from those absolute words like that because, you know, come on now. Things change all the time.
You would need a massive leap forward in technology, which then makes Bitcoin's transaction level way too slow to keep up with your daily life.
Exactly.
That's going to be that next force through, where it's like then you're going to need something like a hash graph, where it's not just a single chain. You can now put this on at any point in the blockchain, and as long as it fits, it ships. Like that's when that technology is ahead of its time, but it works, and eventually it has its use case. But right now, when Bitcoin still transacts completely fine, and it even has some scaling solutions added onto it, Bitcoin's not going anywhere.
I agree with you. I agree. I just want to automatic beats in the house. Welcome, and I see you've highlighted a comment. We'll get to that in a second. But did you want to add anything there?
By LBC?
yeah, exactly. It was like yeah. I don't know about that, LBC. Love you, man, but yeah, I'm not sure.
You know what? If it's the case, I'm just gonna hodl my XRP right now and wait for it to hit 100,000.
There you go.
So it just depends on if you're talking use case on what Bitcoin said on the white paper, where it's meant for peer-to-peer. I mean, XRP does a decent job at it. But if you're looking at what holds its value the best and long-term investing, then that would be Bitcoin.
Right.
I don't want to transact my Bitcoin. That's
I get
like the antithesis of the Bitcoin message now. But
truly though.
Yeah, but for peer-to-peer, I would say that XRP is a very solid option for peer-to-peer.
Yeah, for peer-to-peer. And you know what, that's a good point to bring up. Ironically, that was a point that on Piper Academy earlier today, RMT brought up because, he was arguing that, Bitcoin's supposed to be peer-to-peer cash. And, Piper went, and I mean, he agrees. I mean, obviously the paper is what the white paper is, but, as Piper's argument, I guess, for lack of a better word, I can't think of the right adjective right now, was that basically the U.S. government and the IRS basically squashed that because, now you use that, you can't use that peer-to-peer if you're going to get taxed on every little thing you do, every coffee you buy, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, I don't know. I see crypto as needing to be used. But again, we have things that also need to change. They need to change. And LBC saying that's what I mean. I have always said Bitcoin is the standard store of value while XRP acts. There you go. So there you go. You guys, you're in sync with them there, BC, obviously.
I mean,
and I get it.
We've spent a lot of time talking about the whole Bitcoin and alt market, me and him. So we do align on quite a bit. Our projects that we choose in those alt markets are very different. So
I get
each their
no
own.
argument.
If it works, it works.
That's right. Well, I told you, I like Dash. I got no issue with it. You know what I mean? I mean, again, different use case, not moving stuff like with, using RippleNet, that kind of thing. And username in the house. Welcome. And yes, hashtag RibChat. Get the hashtag. All right, let's move on. Because again, I'm trying to put the positive stuff first before we start kicking Kevin O'Leary while he's down. But well, let's go to Kathy Wood here at this point. And her base case with regard to price action for Bitcoin. Bring that up. There we go. And it's about a minute long, so I'll just well, actually, I've already kind of shaved a little bit off, so maybe about less than a minute.
We get to our base case for the Bitcoin price and our bull case. Many people know us for our bull case, $1.5 million, and we actually think the odds have gone up that our bull case will be the right number because of what is becoming the institutionalization of this new asset class. So many institutional investors are now looking at Bitcoin and thinking that they need to add it to their asset allocation because its return profile looks so much different and its risk profile looks so much different from all of the other assets in their portfolios. And then in another section of
actually that's about to end right there. I mean, I get it. Should have it. I personally don't agree with having it in an ETF form or whatever. It should hold your own, coins. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. Thoughts, guys, about that? I mean, well, first off, do you guys agree with her base case on that price? Which is kind of why I threw that in there because, again, still bullish. And I guess it would depend on what the time horizon is. And honestly, she doesn't address the time horizon. But you want to throw your 2 cents in about that?
I mean, it's going to take a little while for that price to get there. And I mean, I think eventually it will. How long? Who knows? But I do know, like, there's a lot of people that were talking about, like, if you're in your mid 30s to mid 40s, if you just held like 0.1 BTC, that by the time you go to retire, like that is almost your retirement money right there.
BC?
I mean, see, the one problem that I have with that price prediction is there is no timeline where it's like, oh, well, I can just throw out this random number, and as long as it gets there eventually, I was right.
I'm right. Yes. Yep.
So, I mean, do I think that's the case at this cycle? No. Do I think it's the case now that more and more and more of these institutional players are being introduced to Bitcoin, yes. I can't put a time horizon on it though. I couldn't say 2030 you're going to see 1.5 because like we're struggling. Bitcoin's struggling to even maintain $100,000. So it broke that and then immediately dropped below it, got back above it, and immediately dropped back below it. That $100,000 mark is a very big battle for Bitcoin right now. And until we even break above that, I'm not even looking for higher price targets. I don't even get I gave like a tentative price prediction at the beginning of the bull run, but I don't really do price predictions because it's so hard to do.
Right.
I
No
mean,
facts.
like even if Bitcoin doubled in price every halvening, it would still take what, say 5 to 6 halvenings? That's 20 to 24 years from now. I mean, at that point we're at 2050.
Yeah.
And that's if it doubled every halvening, which I don't think it always
I'll be gone.
has.
I'll be gone. It won't matter.
I think on the average it's like 200% increase every year, but like that's because of the bull runs on it and because of how it maintains key levels when it drops back down. So like,
well, that's
you get the 200% gains year over year, but it's not made in a year. So that's why they say that for like a retirement, own that 0.1 Bitcoin and you're fine. Well, maybe as long as the trend continues.
I just want to throw up. I know this is going back a little bit from our earlier conversation. All I care about is use case. This is LBC, and then does it solve an existing problem or looking for a problem to solve? That's what I always ask. No, and those are good questions when you're looking into different projects. But you know, again, I thought we had started that out about peer-to-peer cash, which I guess solves the problem of peer-to-peer cash. But there are other things that, you know, can solve that as well, as my only point that I was making there, going back to that, and solve it well. All right. We did all the bull stuff for Bitcoin here at this point. So, okay, that's it. We're done. No, I'm kidding. We're done. It's time to go back and pick on Kevin O'Leary. Now, before I do that, I got to let me see if I can find it. I put it here real quick because, you know, I lump these guys all in the same boat here. And now, if you remember, what was it? About a year or so ago, Mark Cuban ended up getting his MetaMask wallet hacked for just under like $1 billion or something, which I think, oh my God, you know, these guys sometimes I don't think should be even involved in the space, which is part of the reason for the question that I put in, the poll that I put in. So make sure you're checking that out. Basically asking, in this particular case, I said Kevin O'Leary, is he net positive, net negative, or who cares kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So by all means, please go ahead and take that poll. But we're gonna go and take a look at this. I lump all, like I said, all these guys together. Who was saying, what are your guys' thoughts on changing the name of the units to Bitcoins and getting rid of the decimals? I hadn't really even pondered that concept, to be completely honest with you. Guys, well, I mean, have either of you?
Eventually, I think we're gonna get to that point. But like, so right now we all stack sats. That's what we know. It's one millionth or 1/100,000th of a Bitcoin. It's one of those two. But after a certain point, it's the proving of Austrian economics that any set supply of currency is enough to run any sized economy. You break it down infinitesimally. So instead of being 1/1000th of a Bitcoin that you're transacting it, it's now 1/1,000,000th, or say one
Yeah.
10 billionth, and that it holds its value the same, and you just break it down further. Eventually, it's gonna have to be more divisible, but we're not really at that point where Bitcoin needs to be more divisible.
Well, I think more he's asking like, so for example, take the US dollar. You got the dollar, then you got a quarter, then you got a dime, then you got a penny or whatever. I am LBC. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I'm kind of guessing that's what you're meaning with that. And Chuck Danger, welcome, by the way. And yes, Satoshi. Yeah, I know we're all trained, right? Satoshi,
Mhm.
Satoshis at this point. So yeah, changing what's he say? Changing to Bitcoins would be too confusing. Possibly. Okay, thank you, Badel. And what was I just saying? I just lost my see, I go clicking around and I lose everything. It's been proposed, LBC saying it's been proposed by some Bitcoin devs to eliminate the confusion. I don't know if that would eliminate the confusion or add more confusion, especially for people who have been in the space. But I guess technically we're the early adopters, so who cares, right? It would be
Yeah,
the
but it's
masses who would be less
confusion. I mean,
confused.
it's like, how many people still call X Twitter?
Yeah,
Like,
no,
because that's what they're used to.
facts.
I mean, I still call it Twitter quite frequently.
All the time. Hey, Crypto Poyo's in the house. Cluck cluck. Appreciate that. All right. So a lot of what I've been teasing on X. Okay, I said it right this time. A lot of what I'm teasing on X with my post for tonight's stream was about Kevin O'Leary and his recent interview that he did, basically saying, "Hey, be safe. Use a centralized exchange to store your crypto." And if you haven't already seen that, we're going to play it in a minute. But this guy, bottom line, much like Mark Cuban, does not have a good track record in this space. And yeah. Anyway, let me bring this up. Let's get through this, and then we can give our 2 cents and or trash whoever, or support him if you guys support him. But I'm going to go with I don't think you guys do. All right, hang on. There it is. Here we go.
Say start small, but is it safe? A lot of people aren't sure. When I send my money, if I use my money and I put it in crypto, where does it go and is it safe?
That's a great question. And if you try and do this on your own in a decentralized wallet, as they're called, someone will hack you most likely because you don't know what you're doing. To make it safe, go to an accredited exchange like Coinbase, something that is regulated, but also that you can see every day on your phone, that has millions of accounts, so it's got real structure. I'm telling you right now, Laura, money center banks do not like this because they're not going to be able to charge big fees on transactions around the world with currency, for example. It's $1 trillion market. When the American dollar gets digitized, it'll become the de facto payment system worldwide at a fraction of the cost. That's why there's so much excitement.
Okay. And I just want to bring up one other thing. Crypto Jar sent this to me last night. He's like, and don't forget this. So we're going to show you this.
If there's ever a place I could be that I'm not going to get in trouble, it's going to be at FTX.
And that should give you everything you need to know with regard to Kevin O'Leary and the crypto space right there. Thank you, Crypto Jar, for finding that and sending that to me. All right. Who wants to start? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Go ahead, because I could go off. You guys won't get a word in edgewise. But
well, it's kind of a mess. I will say that I'll give them credit for saying to go to like your tier 1 exchanges instead of being like, hey, go to my banking buddies and buy your Bitcoin through an ETF. So like props there, like at least you're actually owning your own crypto, kind of, because you don't own your own keys. But
Right.
I mean, I would prefer him say that as opposed to being like, hey, just go to Wall Street and buy the Bitcoin ETF and you're fine. Paper Bitcoin, it's okay. Like, no. But at
That's
the end of the day, I do understand what he is saying about these decentralized wallets, because it does complicate some things. If you're not smart about what you click on the internet, then yeah, you could totally get hacked. But if you have common sense and you don't click on sketchy links, then you should be fine.
and that's my thought process. And I didn't even take into account. He could have come out and said ETFs, ETFs. I didn't even consider that. But okay, I'll step back a little bit from kicking him right now. So there you go. Bedell, what say you?
I don't really have a whole lot to say. He's just another rich person that is probably trying to make some money off of, he probably just said Coinbase because he bought a bunch of shares in Coinbase right before that episode.
That's
And
very
then
likely.
A few days later,
That's very likely.
The kind of guy I feel he is, because Mr. Wonderful. But
I just love that the Coinbase wallet or the Coinbase account that they used had a 000 balance.
And yep, LBC's got it right here. Not your keys, not your cheese. Yes, exactly. Username saying, I see no issue with what he said. He started with if you're new, and if your new centralized exchange is way easier. Yeah, that's true. No issues keeping money on something like Coinbase, Guardians, I guess. See, I completely disagree. Yeah. Guys, save me from myself here, because I mean, okay, yeah, I get it. He's saying you're new, but guess what? When you're new to going to the bank, what do you got to do? You got to go to the bank and learn how to use it. And then when you do it, what do? You take your money out of the bank and then you go and learn how to spend it. Whether it, for those old people, you started by writing checks. Then you go do what? Then you got to learn how to use an ATM machine. Then you got to do what? Then you got to learn how to use a credit card. And then you got to do what? You got to go learn how to do all this other stuff to interact in that system. So again, yeah, I get it. You're new, start slow, but you can't be new forever. And that's the kind of attitude I take away from him with regard to that statement. Don't worry about it. Coinbase has got you. Screw that. Coinbase ain't got shit. My opinion. Okay.
But he also said something about the banks, not being able to make as much money because they can't charge you fees. But how else do you get on Coinbase? You need to have a bank account. And how do banks make money? By you having money in your account, because then they loan it out at a higher interest than they pay you. So they make money off your money sitting in the bank, not just off the fees.
Username saying all that is backed and insured way different. I'm assuming he's referring to my go off on the banks. Yeah, exactly. My point. That's exactly my point. Coinbase isn't. So why would you use it like a bank? Mm-hmm. No, get your crap out of there. And again, I get the new thing. I get you got to learn. I understand all that. But again, he's talking about what Bedell just said. Well, these banks are going to be able to charge fees, but they will now that they can custody crypto. You think they're going to do that for free?
Mm-mm. I want to touch on this next little comment that Lunar Beach has said.
This one right here?
He said, do not keep your assets on a centralized exchange that isn't FDIC insured. Only thing that's FDIC insured on Coinbase is USDC. And that's 100%. Your crypto is not FDIC insured. Only your cash is. So if something happens and you can't access that, a hack happens, the only thing you're getting back is your dollars. Yes. Not your Bitcoin, not your Ethereum, not your XRP, not any of that. It will give you your cash back because that's all they're legally required to do. They might make moves to, oh yeah, we'll try to compensate you and do it just like the FTX repayments, where it's like, oh,
Yep.
well, in 2024, you owned this much of this asset and it came out to this dollar value, so we're going to give you this dollar value. No, why mess with that at all? If you understand crypto, just hold it yourself. You know, you were taught as a kid, you got your change and you put it in your piggy bank. And you store it all up, and then you got your dollars, and then you do something with that, and you keep that process going. Why have someone else hold your money for you? That's the antithesis of crypto once you understand crypto.
Exactly. And I get it. Again, new people coming in all the time. They're used to the TradFi system. You're used to bringing your money, put it in your savings account or your checking account or your CD or whatever. And so I understand that there is a transition period there that needs to take place. But again, here's a guy who has obviously an audience of people that they bothered to even pull him in to do an interview. He's not any crypto person I would pull in for an interview. Sorry. He wouldn't even be in the top 10, top 100. I just wouldn't. He's not a crypto native person as far as I'm concerned. He's a guy with a lot of money who wants to throw it into the crypto space to make more money. That's literally his whole life story.
No, but at the same time, why would he do that at the New York City Bitcoin bar? You know, if he's...
Well, I'm sure that's where Laura Trump, if I'm getting the name right, who was doing that interview, probably wanted to meet him to do because it made sense, right? Crypto bar, crypto, you know what I'm saying? That was probably just the way they set up the interview, is my guess. Had nothing to do with Bitcoin per se. You know what I'm saying? Is my guess. I mean, again, I'm not trying to monopolize this conversation, but I would like to suss this out a little bit. Bedell, what else you got? Anything else with regard to that? I mean, any other feelings with regard to what he had to say? Am I way off base? Tell me I'm an idiot. I don't care. Put it out there, man.
No, I understand. I think it was just kind of a weird place for them to meet to talk about crypto. I mean, I get it, but he kind of doesn't really seem to know that much about crypto.
Mm-hmm.
And to try to talk about Bitcoin and Coinbase at a Bitcoin bar, yeah, it doesn't seem like the right place or the right time.
Or the right person. I'm sorry. You know, you want to have that conversation, call him Michael Saylor. Call Saifuddin Amos. Something. Anybody. You know what I'm saying? Don't Kevin O'Leary? Seriously? Anyway. All right, BC, what say you?
I mean, there's a whole bunch of better people to have talked to about Bitcoin. If you want to talk to them about Bitcoin, who understand Bitcoin, the first one you had said, Michael Saylor, would have been a great option. But I bet he probably wouldn't have done an interview like that. We're just like, we're just gonna go down a list and see who's the first one that's like, yep, I'll do an interview on this topic in this location. Whereas then Michael Saylor is going to steer that interview. He's not going to be led in a certain direction.
Well, you know what? That's also a good point. That's a great point, BC. I again didn't consider that. I just my I guess whole thesis here is Kevin O'Leary is ill qualified to be the guy that they're even asking these questions to. He just is. Now, if you're going to ask him questions about maybe the banking system, the TradFi banking system, being able to control crypto and or custody crypto, that kind of, okay, that would make a little more sense to me. He's familiar with the TradFi system. He's earned plenty from it. He's dabbled in crypto. So, okay, I can see the crossover. But like, you know, to basically be, and not for nothing, I'm sorry, but you know, when I look at, and again, I'm hoping it was Laura Trump. I closed it. So her whole family, who is involved in crypto. We've seen it, you know, they got the whole World Liberty Financial thing going, you know, they're constantly out there touting crypto, Bitcoin, etc. Great, by the way. But like, I don't know. Like, I just lost my entire way I wanted to phrase it, and I don't want to sound like an ass right now. So I apologize, everybody. That joys of live stream. I just lost the way I was going to word that. But I guess it could have been done better. Could have been done focused a little bit better. That kind of thing. So let me lead this question because Bedell, that was what starts in 33 minutes? Was that
the Artie Piper show?
Oh, it is in 33. Okay, that was a while ago. Okay, so yeah, OC, I guess, is starting a new help me program on Piper Academy. Yeah, so we're gonna forward everybody to that. So we're gonna wrap up pretty soon, so we're not stepping on him too much, because I know a lot of people that are here right now also are fans and watch Piper Academy all the time, and you guys love OC. You like the Mexican spaghetti, man. But anyway. I
don't like the orange juice in the coffee though. Spaghetti good. Spaghetti good. Orange juice and coffee bad.
Yeah.
He's starting in 4.5 minutes.
Oh, okay. I got to go and set that up in the background, and we'll probably have to step on them a little bit here, because I'd like to try and wrap this a little bit. So bring this together. Do you think that, and then I'll ask one final question before we go. Do you think that we, the space, should be having people, as they're coming in, setting themselves into this kind of a centralized exchange? And if so, or if not, why? So maybe give me your 2-minute steel man argument.
You said if they're just starting out?
Yeah, newbie. Look, because that was a couple of people pointed out. He said, if you're new. So, okay, if you're new.
And that's normally how I tell people that are brand new. I'm like, hey, you've heard of Coinbase? Like, download the Coinbase app. You link your bank account to it, and you buy your Bitcoin. And then eventually, once they have enough, or you check out whatever other projects that they're interested in, they normally end up messaging me, asking me about this project or that project, and I give them my thoughts. But like, I also tell them, it's like, okay, you might want to do your own research, because my investing style is probably extremely different than your investing style. So find something that fits into your risk appetite. And then later on down the road, I kind of broach that topic with them, where it's like, okay, now you've got some money, and it's made you some money. Now think about taking that off of the centralized exchange and keeping that where you can always use it when you want to use it.
Right.
And I normally leave that for a later down the road topic. Whereas he said the same thing I tell people. It's like, download the Coinbase app. It's easy.
Well, let me ask you something. What would your time frame be if you were giving that advice? I get every person's going to be maybe different, but like generally, what would you think the time frame would be on that?
It'd more so be like a dollar amount kind of thing.
Okay,
like,
okay, fair enough.
You've got this much invested. It's like, now you might want to think about putting this in the safe instead of leaving it open and accessible.
Okay, excellent. Bedell, I got one more question we're going to wrap up that poll. But Bedell, any thoughts about that question with newbies coming in, steelman the argument? Yes, no.
No, I mean, I like what BC Port had to say about, just turning people over to Coinbase and, and just DCAing in as much as you can every week, month, paycheck, whatever. But my other alternative to that would have been maybe like, I'm not saying to spend a bunch more, but, you can pick up these ballot wallets, that have preloaded
Were
I was
you
gonna-
trying to do this? There you go. I got
yeah,
you.
but like like these have like 0.001 Bitcoin on it. This one has like one Litecoin on it. And you just open it up, then you peel off the back, and then it shows you your seed phrase. Or you can scan the QR code, use their app, and it'll tell you the value of it.
Right. But and I guess to that point, things have got to get easier with regard to being able to onboard a lot of new people. I mean, and when I say easier, I'm talking with the technology, et cetera, et cetera. And just to give you my 2 cents, initially, sure. And I like your idea to the dollar amount, BC. That makes a lot more sense to me because, again, everybody, somebody like me who's DCAing at $25 a week going to be a lot different than somebody who's DCAing at $2,000 a week. So yeah. Completely different animal. I did just close out the poll. And but before I give you the results, let's start with Bedell. The question on the poll was, is Kevin O'Leary a net positive or a net negative to the space? And it was obviously net positive, net negative, or who cares? What say you?
I'm going to have to go with probably net negative.
Okay, fair enough. BC?
I said, who cares?
Yeah, and seriously though, who I actually said net negative, but here's the result, so everybody has it. Who cares by a margin there? 61%, net negative 23%, and net positive to the tune of 15%. That kind of surprises me. It was that high, to be completely honest with you. And we've got a lot of comments. I appreciate everybody being here. Jay Violet is tuned in. Appreciate you. Let me just, hi everybody. I know smash those likes. I appreciate that. And LBC was saying that. Smash those likes. Miss Crypto Bedell, yes, thank you for being here. Oh, I hit the wrong dang button. All right. We're gonna get out of here because BC. Good Lord, BC. OC should be going live on Piper Academy, and I want to make sure that you guys can head on over there and give him some support on, I guess, his maiden voyage there tonight.
Yep.
So all you got to do is sit tight, and YouTube will take you right over if you're on YouTube. If you're on X, sorry, you got to come over to YouTube to make that happen. So we're going to head out. Guys, thank you so much for being here. And also, one other thing, everybody, we're still trying to iron out some details, but hopefully you'll see this trio right here on a more regular basis. We're trying to work out. I just had to put that up there. No more. Oh my God, I love it, LVC. Yeah. No, that's not me. I'm not the gummy guy.
I'm saying. I think you're supposed to refer that to me about no gummies before the show.
Oh God, well, I have been a little bit off tonight. Anyway, all right, we're out. Everybody have a great night. I'm gonna send you over to go see OC guy. Let him know that you're coming from CCM. So hit a CCM raid. I see you just put that up there. I didn't want to close out while that was still on the screen. Yes, comfort level is important. And that was kind of to my point. Maybe start there, but at some point you got to be able to do it. You got to be able to do it. All right, we're out. Let's go see OC. Thanks.
Bye guys.
Take care. CCM raid. Type CCM raid in there so they know where you're coming from. All right, appreciate that. See you soon. As soon as I can find there it is.